Hello there, and welcome to yet another of Andre's artist profiles here on YouTube. And today, I am going to be profiling Ronnie Laws. Now, as a sax player, Ronnie Laws was right up there with Grover Washington in inspiring, basically what I would describe as the, pop, chill jazz style of saxophoning. A lot of echoplex and reverb and production on it, but he was a lot like George Benson and what, people like Gregory Porter are doing now. He was excellent at the idea of playing and singing. And because he played a horn, he'd obviously have to stop playing to sing, but he was kind of like a saxophone version of George Benson. Now, his history began with Earth, Wind, and Fire back in 1972. He was on their first Columbia album, Last Days in Time, and then he left and eventually got signed to Blue Note in 1975 and recorded his debut album on that label, which you'll see right here. It's called Pressure Sensitive. Looks like some sort of space-age Fabergé egg on the cover. This album has a song on it that Ronnie Laws wrote that became extremely famous over the years. It's been covered by Jeff Lorber and Always There. And Incognito. It's called Always There. Now, that's become somewhat of a cliche of the acid jazz movement, but it's a great melodic song. There's been vocals written to it. Call it the song for my father of late 70s jazz funk, as it were. It's been covered by so many people. But this album is great. It's funky. It's churning. It's nothing really revelatory, but Ronnie Laws definitely had a talent. And there's definitely a lot of Earth, Wind, and Fire overtones on it too. And of course that makes sense since Roland Bautista, who would later join Earth, Wind, and Fire after Al McKay left, played guitar on this album. And members of the Crusaders like Joe Sample and Wilton Felder also appeared on this. So, it's a jazz funk celebration, basically. That's on Blue Note. This is his second Blue Note album from 1976, Fever. Another great funky affair. That's Ronnie on the cover. Just fantastic jazz funk record, from the classic era of that music. Now, this CD is really rare now. I don't know if you can see it. I love that album cover. Friends and Strangers. Now, this came out in 1977 and was remastered in the early 2000s, but it went out of print. It's not an easy album to find on CD, but I finally did. And this album has a great instrumental on it called Good Time Ride. Great funky instrumental. It was released on the One Way label in 2002. Now, this album, he was starting to slicken up his sound just a little bit and make it a little more glossy. A great album overall, but of course it really paved the way for this album called Flame, which is a really, really rare CD. It's out in a twofer now with Friends and Strangers, but I was lucky to get it in its single CD edition here. This album came out in 1978. There's the back cover. This is the original Blue Note CD from the late 80s. There are some beautiful songs on here like All For You and Love Is Here. And my favorite, Live Your Life Away at the end, which has got a really great message. You should check it out. You can stream that song somewhere, Live Your Life Away. This is a wonderfully slick jazz funk album produced with Earth, Wind, and Fire's Larry Dunn. It's got a beautiful keyboard sound on it. One of my favorite jazz funk productions ever. This album, Every Generation, came out the next year in 1979. I believe this album was also produced by Larry Dunn. Actually, it wasn't. It was self-produced. But this is very similar to Flame. A little more of a dance influence, but still right in the pocket. A lot of people think this is one of Ronnie Laws' best albums, and I can't deny it. It's a great record. Now, this is my personal favorite by him. You saw this already. If you out there saw my personal favorite CDs, Solid Ground from 1981. There's some amazing songs on here like Your Stuff, Heavy Uneasy, which opens it, the title song, Good Feelings, great follow-up to Every Generation, and I believe, if I remember, his last Blue Note album as well. This is Ronnie Laws' first album on Columbia from 1986. Now, maybe his second, actually. There's another one from 83, but that may have been on Blue Note. This album is pretty good, but it sounds more like an Al Jarreau album than perhaps Ronnie Laws. Still very up-tempo. Ronnie Laws did a lot of good up-tempo tunes, which I like. But it's a rare album, good one to have. Anyway, this album, Dream a Little, came out in 2006 on the, actually 2000, on the HDH label. Now, this is the newest Ronnie Laws album that I have. It's no thrills on it, but it's a really good album. Not that different in flavor from Mirror Town that I just showed you from 86, actually. So, there's my Ronnie Laws collection. Now, I know I do a lot of jazz funk on here, but I really feel that it's sort of a neglected genre, so I tend to, that I like, so I tend to kind of want to bring attention to it, to get people positively into a music that affected me in a really good way. So that's Ronnie Laws. Happy birthday to you, and keep on making music. I love it. A lot of us love it.